really just happened?
What happens?
Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki.
I'm Adam.
In today's video, we are doing some new cottage cheese recipes. We're going to be making 3 different recipes and sampling all of them. We're excited. Neither of us are big cottage cheese fans, and to be honest, neither of us are picky eaters, but when it comes to cottage cheese, that's one food that we just like kind of avoid. So we're trying to do our best to be open and try different recipes. I'm still struggling with just like straight plain cottage cheese, but blended up and used for different things. We've actually had a lot of success with these videos and trying different recipes. So we've done a couple in the past, but I thought it was time to do some new ones and try out some that I've seen online that, I don't know, I never know the feedback. Some people say they're awful, some people say they're great. So I think it just depends how much you like it, but we're gonna be giving our opinions on them today and sharing kind of lower point versions of them. So if you enjoyed this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it.
And hype it up.
Thank you. Hype it up too. That does definitely help. I don't know how it helps, but it does.
Yeah, that's...
But anyway, for the recipes that we're making today, I know that a lot of people say that it depends on the cottage cheese you use, and we just happen to get these ones from Aldi, although I know that people always say Good Culture is the best. That brand apparently is like one of the best ones, but I'm hoping this works well for the recipes we're going to be making. This is the 4% milk fat curd cottage cheese, small curd. They're both small curd, yeah. So this is 4%. It is 4 points for the serving of a half cup on WeightWatchers. This is 2%. It's 2 points for the serving on WeightWatchers. And I think for one recipe, we'll for sure use this one. The other 2, I need a cup, so I might have to do like half and half and see. Anyway, we'll get there when we do. The first thing that we're going to be making is 2 ingredient dough bagels, but not 2 ingredient dough like you guys usually know with the Greek yogurt. We're going to be subbing out the Greek yogurt for cottage cheese. And I am actually going to just blend it up in my blender so that it's a nice smooth consistency similar to yogurt, which will help to form the dough. But we're just going to be doing a cup of this, a cup of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and then I like to mix in some garlic salt with my bagels and top them with some everything bagel seasoning. I was also thinking if we do an egg wash on them, usually we do, so we'll probably crack an egg and put that as an egg wash. But those will be the bagels that we're going to just bake in the oven. The next recipe we're gonna try, I'm just gonna walk through them all really quickly and then we'll go ahead and get started with some things, because for this next one I have to get the sweet potatoes started. But if you guys haven't seen it, I think it's been all this year, right? Yeah, it's been this year, like one of the most viral recipes on like TikTok, Instagram, and it's the hot honey cottage cheese sweet potato bowl. So what it is roasted sweet potatoes. I have these here that I'm just going to chop up, spray them with a little olive oil spray, and I was thinking maybe do some like kind of garlic seasoning, maybe some garlic, salt, and pepper or something, maybe some onion powder as well. But I'm gonna pop those in the oven and roast them. So that is a part of the bowl, the sweet potatoes. Then it is also ground beef, but seasoned with taco seasoning. So I'm gonna make some 93% lean ground beef, which is 0 points on WeightWatchers, mixed with some taco seasoning. It's also got avocado. So I think we'll each do like a quarter of an avocado in each bowl, which is 2 points on WeightWatchers. And then it's just got regular cottage cheese. Most of them I saw people just like scoop and use the cottage cheese. I think there was one where they actually like blended it, but we're going to try the way that the recipe is and just scoop some into it. And then apparently the best part is the hot honey. Everybody always talks about, is it Dave's hot honey?
Yeah.
Is that the one that, okay, yeah. So we have the Aldi brand today, which I'm sure it's pretty similar, but that is what we're going to be doing for the sweet potato bowl. I've heard from so many people and just seen so many comments of people who say they don't like cottage cheese, but they love this bowl and the combination of flavors. So I'm curious to see how it is, and I'm gonna be brave and just have the plain cottage cheese with it. Then the last thing that we're trying today is cottage cheese chocolate chip cookies. I followed someone on Instagram. It's Eating Bird Food, I wanna say is her name is. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Now you're making me seem like I'm wrong. Pretty sure it's Eating Bird Food. I know she's on TikTok. I think I follow her on TikTok, but she has a chocolate chip cookie recipe using cottage cheese. You start with it in the blender. So it's a cup of cottage cheese in the blender with a quarter cup of pure maple syrup, which this is definitely high points on WeightWatchers, but I think we're gonna get like 12 cookies, and I calculated it with the recipe builder in the app, and it says it'll be about 5 points a cookie if we get 12 of them. So not bad. Hopefully they actually taste good. Yeah. But I'm going to blend the maple syrup with the cottage cheese and some vanilla. Then to that you mix in some almond flour as well as some coconut oil. You also mix in some protein powder, and her recipe called for vanilla protein powder, which I don't have at the moment, so I'm going to be using this. I also feel like this will be really good for chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate peanut butter, Clean Simple Eats protein powder. So I'm going to mix that in as well with the coconut oil, and then that should form a cookie dough that we'll also add some chocolate chips into. I just got some semi-sweet. I like to do the minis because then it spreads out better when you're baking something and you can use like less for the points, whatever. But I couldn't find those today. I just found the normal ones. So sometimes I'll also chop them up, but we'll see how I'm feeling when we get to actually making the cookies and tracking the recipe, seeing how many points it'll be for the amount of chocolate chips. First thing, I'm gonna get started just roasting up the sweet potatoes. That's gonna take the longest. And then pretty much everything bakes in the oven, the potatoes, the bagels, and the cookies. We're just gonna go ahead and start assembling, and then we'll do a nice taste test at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. I knew the sweet potatoes would take a little bit to roast in the oven, so I wanted to get those started before anything else. I make sure to wash them well, and then I prefer to leave the skin on, but when you roast them, you could definitely peel the skin off. They don't have to be perfect, but I just diced them up into cubes. Then I added them to a baking sheet on foil, and I spray it with some nonstick spray and add some seasonings. I pop them in the oven at 400 degrees, and I just check them every 10 minutes or so. Then to get started on the bagels, I needed to blend the cottage cheese, and I went to use my bigger blender container and realized that the cup would be so much easier. So I just did that instead, and it was even easy to just measure out 1 cup, and then I put the lid on and blend it up. I kind of pulsed it a little bit, but it got nice and smooth. Then to a bowl, I added a cup of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, some garlic salt, and then the cottage cheese. I just put on some gloves and then mixed it together with my hands, and I realized that I needed a little bit more flour, so I had Adam add a little bit more in. So instead of a cup of all-purpose flour, I ended up doing about 1 1/3 cup, which is actually the normal recipe I do with Greek yogurt. Then using my food scale, I just place the bowl on it and zero it out. Then I weigh the entire portion of dough and divide that by 4 to see how many grams each bagel needs to be. This dough is definitely softer to work with than the regular 2-ingredient dough I make with Greek yogurt, but I just roll them into a ball and then make a hole in the middle and form them into the shape of a bagel. Once I've got them all formed, then I just cracked an egg in a bowl and whisked it together to make an egg wash. I just use a pastry brush and brush the egg onto each bagel, and then I add some everything seasoning. And this specific everything seasoning I'm using today is actually Asiago flavor as well, and I just get it from Aldi. They have a jalapeno one that adds a good kick that's really good too, but that's what I'm using today. Then I just pop the tray into the oven and I rotate it every like 5 or 10 minutes. I wanted to get started on the cookie dough, so I've got some coconut oil that I'm measuring out here, and I just popped it in the microwave. Then again, for this recipe, you are supposed to blend the cottage cheese, so I just used the blender cup again and measure out 1 cup of cottage cheese with some vanilla and maple syrup. Again, I just place it on the blender and kind of pulse it to make sure it gets nice and smooth. And it really doesn't take long, but I shook it up in between to just make sure that it's fully dispersed, and this is how it looks. So to a bowl, I'm adding a 1/2 cup of protein powder and a cup of almond flour with that coconut oil that I heated up. I accidentally dropped the blender attachment that had the cottage cheese on it into the bowl with flour, so I had to scrape that off, but then I just poured all of the blended cottage cheese mixture in and combined it with a spatula. It didn't take long to mix it until it was combined. Then I just measured out the chocolate chips that I'm adding and I mixed those in as well. The recipe called for a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips, I want to say, but I ended up just doing 1/4 to save some points. Then I got a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and I'm just using my scoop here to get even scooped cookies. And when I grabbed the scoop, I decided to use a smaller one. I figured I could just make smaller cookies to try out, so that's what I did instead. I got 23. I put on a glove and sprayed it with nonstick spray so that I could press the cookies down a little bit, and then her recipe also said to just put a couple extra chocolate chips on top to make them look better, so that's what we're doing here. And the timer was going off for the bagels, so Adam took over putting in the chocolate chips, and the bagels were done. The sweet potatoes have still been cooking in the oven, but now for the rest of the ingredients for the bowl, I start cooking 2 pounds of ground beef. I just wanted to make extra so I could have some taco meat prepped in the fridge. I won't be using all of this today, but I have 93% lean ground beef, and I just continue to stir it until it's fully cooked. Whenever I make taco meat, I like to use my meat masher to get smaller pieces, so that's what I'm doing here. And then I just add 2 packets of taco seasoning because I have 2 pounds of meat. I also add water and pretty much just follow the instructions on the taco seasoning packet. Then I just put the meat aside until the sweet potatoes are done baking and I can start assembling the bowls. The sweet potatoes were all really small at the store, so that's why I got 3 of them, and we ended up just dividing them between the 2 of us. Then to each bowl, I add a good amount of ground beef. I also have the avocado ready that I just slice up, and like I said, we're just each doing a quarter in our bowl today to keep it a little bit lower point. I know a lot of people don't track avocado on Weight Watchers, they count it as 0 points, but I'm curious to hear what you guys do. I usually just end up tracking it when I use it in recipes, but I don't eat it that often. After I add the avocado, it's time for the cottage cheese, and I decided to use the 4% cottage cheese for this one. I really didn't do too much to start off, but I will definitely be making this again, and I think next time I would use more cottage cheese. And then I'm just adding a drizzle of the hot honey to each bowl. I put the bagels on a plate once they were fully cooled, and I was really happy with how they turned out. I did flip them over halfway so that they could get evenly browned because the bottom was starting to brown a little bit quicker, but they came out really good. Then these are our finished bowls, and they ended up being a really nice portion. It was definitely filling, and I think that having the sweet potato with the meat and everything just kept me fuller longer. Okay, sorry, the oven is still going so you can hear it because we've got the cookies baking, but we've got our bagels done here. So a nice cottage cheese bagel, and honestly I feel like this looks more like a regular bagel than the 2-ingredient dough ones that we make, but it's looking really good. So I'm curious to cut it open and see what it looks like. We'll do that first actually. So very similar to 2-ingredient dough, how it looks like, I don't know, it looks pretty good. It's nice and fluffy. They're definitely, I feel like they rose more than the 2-ingredient dough bagels, but let's give it a try.
It smells the same.
It does. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's really good.
That is very good.
Do you like it more than 2-ingredient dough?
I might. I feel like it adds just like a little bit of like fluffy like cheesiness to it.
Right? It's so similar. It's honestly so similar. And I thought it was going to be like too salty with the cottage cheese or something, but no. I don't taste any cottage cheese.
No.
It really does taste like 2-ingredient dough. I mean, no, I feel like it is a little bit more on the salty side.
I think it is a little fluffier though. Like,
yeah.
I feel like sometimes 2-ingredient dough can be a little denser. But
it's like kind of spongy, but
yeah. Surprisingly good.
I would definitely do them again.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we've got this, which both of us are most nervous about because, like I said, we don't really just do plain cottage cheese, but apparently this combination of the hot honey, cottage cheese, avocado, ground beef, and sweet potatoes is really good. So I say, yeah, we just go ahead and try to get it all, but I was thinking about just mixing this all together when I actually eat it.
Yeah, same.
But I do want to get a bite of everything. Make sure you get some of that hot honey in there.
I want to make sure I get a good amount of cottage cheese too, honestly.
Okay, so I've got a little bit of everything in there. I'm nervous. Cheers.
Cheers.
I didn't know if I was gonna have to scoop the cottage cheese out and eat the rest of the bowl without it.
Oh, it does add like a good creaminess to it.
Mm-hmm. Another cheers?
Yeah, cheers. Cheers to bowls. The hot honey almost like adds like a caramelized like flavor to everything.
Yeah, I definitely like the sweetness that it adds. And I feel like the cottage cheese doesn't really taste like cottage cheese. Like it almost is like one of those, I can't think of the white cheese that you add to like taco dishes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The cojita or whatever you say it. I feel like it's almost got that kind of vibe mixed with everything else. It doesn't seem like it's cottage cheese. Like it doesn't bother me. And even like mixing it together, you can still see it's like, you can see the curds in there, but it is, I think the hot honey is my favorite part.
Yeah, it's really good like all together. Honestly, like the meat too, it's just like a very good combination.
Yeah, because the meat is taco seasoned, it works really well with the cottage cheese. I want to take one more bite, and especially with the avocado. Yeah, everything does just go perfectly together. I feel like the hot honey is not that spicy. I was kind of nervous it would be spicy, but...
I mean, I feel like we maybe didn't put enough on it for it to be spicy, but...
True. That's the thing, too. It adds up really quickly with points. It's like 3 points for the serving we used, and any more than that, it's not. We didn't use that much.
Yeah.
But same with the avocado. I feel like with this bowl, you do have to be careful of portions because it is a lot of like higher calorie items together, but the ground beef with the cottage cheese make it really high protein. I forgot to mention points. So this bowl comes out to 6 points total, which really is not bad. The ground beef is 0, sweet potato is 0. The honey is 3 points for the serving that I used. The cottage cheese is 1 point for the serving, and you could probably do more than what we did. We started small, but then the avocado we used is 2 points. 6 points total for this, and it's got almost 60 grams of protein. Then the bagels, I did have to add more flour, so they came out to 5 points total, but I feel like it's worth it. I feel like it is definitely more just like bread-like. Like now that I'm just like looking at it, it definitely has more like density like bread, and it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with everything. So we still have the cookies in the oven we're going to try, but they're not done yet, so we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We finished up our sweet potato bowls. How was it?
It was very good.
So good. So much better than I expected.
Right.
And I'm glad that I finally tried it because somehow he hadn't seen that video, but for months and months, everybody was just posting that recipe and I never ended up trying it. So I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah.
But anyway, our cookies are done. These look really good. They're cute. I was originally gonna do 12, but then I made 23. So they went from 5 points to 3 points. So it's 3 points for one of these on Weight Watchers. I do think that I left them in a little bit too long. This one's not that dark. Oh, I just stuck my finger. Some of them got a little bit dark on the bottom, but honestly, I think they're fine.
Yeah, this is like perfect for me. That's how I like them.
Yeah, they are cookies though. So cookies made with cottage cheese.
Cookies.
Let's go ahead and give them a try. Cheers.
Cheers. These are very good. These are exactly like the ones you make with applesauce where they're like cakey. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that they're a little like...
They're like weirdly moist on the inside.
Yeah.
Like I bit into it and I was like, wait, is this done? But then it is. And it's like kind of dense.
It's very cake-like.
It's the almond flour. I don't usually use like almond flour to bake cookies, but I mean, that's what I use for like macarons and stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
It reminds me of something that we've had before, but I can't think of what it is. But I feel like it's gotta just be some type of like almond cookie. If it didn't have the chocolate chips, I feel like I wouldn't like it as much. It definitely, like, the chocolate makes it, but I don't know.
I feel like I would still like it a lot if it without chocolate chips. I just love I don't know why. I just love the flavor of it.
I like the outside and the bottom. I just feel like I wish the inside got a little bit more like done. It is, I don't know. It's got a good texture to it. Like the outside, I don't know.
It's like, it's literally like crispy on the outside, then it's like soft in the middle.
I don't really taste like a cottage cheese, any like, not super salty or anything like that, but I'm curious to see how they'll be when they cool off.
Yeah.
It's good though. I mean, 3 points for it. That's not bad. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'd make them again. Maybe I'd probably make some adjustments, even adding like cinnamon or something. Or the protein powder that I used was like the peanut butter chocolate cup, so I wonder what you could change with doing different like proteins and stuff.
Maybe that's what I like so much about it. Like, it kind of tastes like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, that wraps up our cottage cheese video. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing some different recipes that we hadn't tried before. Like I said, we always try to kind of step out of the box and try different things. And when it comes to cottage cheese, anytime I see a recipe with cottage cheese, I'm like, nope. But there are so many that we've tried that have actually been really good. And it's one of those things that I need to just buy more frequently and start incorporating. Although I don't know if I'll be able to make normal 2-ingredient dough bagels again, because you even like them more. They really are good.
Yeah.
But I'll have all the recipes typed out in the description with points and stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it.
And hype it up!
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.